Each week, we're joined by a top country star who stops by the studio to give me a hand counting down the hits. Along this week, Martina McBride. How are you?
I'm great.
I've seen you a lot, but not here in the studio since July of 2010.
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. And there's so much in your life that's happened since then, including albums and a train trek across the United States.
Yes.
For a wonderful cause. We'll talk about that as we get along. There's so much going on. You're out with George Strait now. Mm-hmm. It's like, holy cow.
I've been busy.
I think you have been. Maybe we'll just kind of start talking about George a little bit. We'll talk about him later, too, when his song comes up in the countdown. But were you around or heard when I heard he announced that he was a new grandfather on stage?
Yeah. Yeah. I was, actually, I knew Norma had told me the weekend before that they were anxiously awaiting their first grandchild. Yeah. And she was so excited. And then, they had the baby, and George had pictures on his phone, which I got to see. So cute.
What's the atmosphere like just backstage of a George Strait tour?
It's really relaxed. It's laid back. Our crews get along really well, and I don't see George much during the day. He kind of keeps to himself during the day, and then he comes in and does a show, which we all go out and watch because it's amazing, and he sounds so good and sings all those great songs. And then I have been able to hang out with him a little bit backstage after the show, and he's just always been really warm and fun and funny, and he's a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He is, and you stand there and you sit there and hear the show, and you go, you just reminded that he's had 57 number ones.
When he breaks into the chair or Amarillo by Morning, I go crazy, and so does everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just it's so good.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I do like it. It's challenging, honestly. It's a little bit. It's just different, in the round. I mean, Of course, I love being on the tour, but the whole in the round thing is just a different way of doing it, and I think I'm getting the hang of it.
Well, it's interesting. If nothing else, it kind of probably really keeps you in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you got, there's just, like you said, one more thing to think about, and so I don't know. I think it's interesting to watch.
The audience being able to see the back of me is something I did not consider. Otherwise, I would have done more squats before I started this tour. Some more working out or whatever.
I think you're fine. That's pretty funny. Does it change your wardrobe notion?
Not really, but no, not really. But it's just interesting. I'm sitting there singing, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there's all these people behind me, But, it's like they've got video screens, and really there's not a bad seat.
Yeah. Oh,
when you do it that way.
Yeah. I must admit that I'm always impressed that George, at this point in his career, when he turns his back to the audience, he still gets lots of cheers and screams.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, holy cow. What a deal.
I know.
Well, we'll talk a lot more about George as we get along. And, of course, as I mentioned, you took the train trip across America. We'll talk about that. And of course, you have a song in the top 5 this week called I'm Gonna Love You Through It. It's a very special song that we'll talk about a lot. And new CD, 11